Hello, hello, welcome everybody. We are joined by our friends all over the world. If you're here today, you probably know why. Our beloved Freepik has a new name. It is now Magnific. Same platform, new name. And today we're joined by Joaquin Cuenca, who's the CEO, and Omar Pera, the CPO. I want to ask you guys, how are you guys feeling? I mean, this must have been an insane few months.
Relax. So up until now, it's been pretty exciting. The team has delivered like a phenomenal execution on the change, and it's been like a few very intense months. But now that we are over it, relax. Like, how about you?
Relaxed.
Relax today, yes.
I am happy, but I'm exhausted, but actually pretty excited for the future. I think that was my summary.
Love it. Well, everybody, my name is Roberto Nickson. I'm going to be the host today. I'm a creator. I love talking about AI, tech, emerging technology. I'm a big user of Freepik, which is now Magnific. It's going to take some time, guys, to get used to the name change. But I want to introduce first Joaquin. So Joaquin is actually an engineer by training. I'm going to read his bio because it's impressive and I don't want to mess it up. He spent his career solving problems that nobody's noticed yet. So before Freepik, he founded a company named Panoramio, which was acquired by Google. It was actually the first Spanish company ever acquired by Google. So I'm sure all Spaniards around the world are really proud of that. And Panoramio actually became, from my understanding, what is now the photo layer for Google Maps. So after Google, Joaquin went back to Malaga, and in 2010, he started Freepik from scratch. It is now 1 million subscribers. So what a story that has been. And he leads Magnific with one core conviction, that AI does not replace the creative. It compresses the technical side towards zero, which we're all in agreement with and we think is very important. So what remains is the vision, the judgment, and the message is entirely human. Now, Omar, this is really interesting to me, man. I thought this was fascinating. He actually started his career as an engineer at CERN, and he was there when the Higgs boson was created. I might still be understanding that. I'm not smart enough to understand how to pronounce that word. But Omar has been through New York. He had a stint at Meta. He's founded many startups. He's sold a bunch. And he joined what was then Freepik in 2023 and was there again for another kind of big discovery, right? The day it became Magnific. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. And for those of you who are not familiar, which I'm assuming everybody in the audience is, we have a video to play for you before we get some questions for Joaquin. Little claps in the chat. Let me get some clap emojis. By the way, everybody, let us know where you're watching from. I see Philippines, I see France, I see Italy, Buenos Aires, Argentina. Global audience, man, I love it. Joaquin, I have a question for you. Freepik has been around, like I said, since 2010. 16-year journey. Why did you feel that this was the right moment to make the leap into Magnific?
So Freepik is a name that describes very, very well what we were doing. It's what people call an utilitarian name. It describes an utility, which was to help people to find free pictures. So we already outgrew that initial name a little bit in 2014, which is when we created our subscription, and we had a premium subscription inside Freepik. There was already like kind of a collision. It's Freepik, but you have to pay for some things. But it was still relatively close to the original mission, okay, which was to help people find free assets, very affordable assets, and we carry on with that name. We expanded to more things than pictures, icons, photos, illustrations. But you can still make the point that, listen, it is still like helping people find the right image. It's still pretty close to the original mission. But until Gen AI came, okay, so Gen AI very fundamentally redefined what we were going to do, the value that we deliver to users, how users experiment the platform. But we didn't want to change the name because it was so well known. even if it's for something slightly different. We were still like iterating our way out of stock images. So we started adding Gen AI technologies to the platform. People approach Freepik as a platform that they use to create new stuff, not so much to find existing stuff. But that was a transition period. Okay, like many people were still using it to find free pictures, to find images. It was only when we felt that we were reaching a level of quality that help people do great things, help people feel magnific about themselves, that we were at the point where we could change the name. That we had significantly outgrew our original mission. We were on a different path, and that we wanted to put the stress not on the free aspect of the platform, but on the excellence that you can get out of the platform. So it's a process. It took some time, but we are very glad that we are finally there.
When did you say, would you say it was then like around 2022? Was it I think when I was talking with you in San Francisco, you said it was maybe DALL-E 2. That was sort of the moment where you felt like you really felt this transition. When did you like specifically know that Freepik had really become something else?
First of all, like DALL-E 1, it was already a shock to me. Okay, so DALL-E 1, I think we all saw the first images. The fact that this thing could understand roughly the text and give you an image, it already made you think about, okay, how is the future gonna be? Then at that time we made, I think it was a little mistake. Okay, we decided to get into AI, but to use AI to improve the operations of the company, not so much to redefine the company. So we use AI to improve the search engine, to improve customer support, things like that. And we became pretty good at that. The search engine really became much better. But then DALL-E 2 came out. You're absolutely right. I think it was in April 2022, like the first demo images went out on Twitter. And I was blown away. So okay, this is not a toy. This is not about optimizing the operations of the company. This is about becoming something fundamentally very different. That was when I knew that we had to change what we were doing. And then our goal became much more ambitious than to optimize the operations of the companies. We need to do something completely different. We got new talent like Omar here. He came a little bit later, and he has significantly redefined what we do at the company. We set like a trajectory that was fundamentally different from the past. That was, for me, the real shock to the core. It came absolutely in April 2022.
And I remember when, at least I have my own prompt to generate images, like car in the forest. It used to be like the avocado chair, and I've been using that same prompt to generate an image since then. And just the pace of change, what looked like a toy is not anymore a toy anymore.
Amazing. And by the way, for anybody watching, later at the end, we're going to questions. So if you guys want to submit your questions, just do so in the chat from wherever you're watching, X, YouTube, etc. But Joaquin, why the name Magnific? Out of all the names you could have chose, why was that the one that we were like, that's our new brand, that's our new identity?
Okay, there is a little bit of serendipity here. Like we acquired a company called Magnific in 2024. It's an upscaler. It's a very well-known tool in the AI community. So we already had that brand, Magnific. It belonged to us. Okay. I mean, there are a few alternatives. We could have been like fantastic. We could have been. We thought about Magnific with a K, so that we keep on the theme of Freepik with a K. We discussed many of them, but Magnific is well known. Magnific, it's very aspirational. I remember. I heard this from somebody that said, "What is more important than when people use your product? Do you want them to feel that they use a great product? You want them to feel that they used that the brand was great, or that the company was great?" And the answer to that, the most powerful thing that you can achieve, is for a user to feel that they are great. Okay, so that's something that stuck with me: is can we make something that that elevate people, that make them feel like they can achieve more than before? And that's very well represented by Magnific. And the tagline is "Be Magnific." Okay, it's not about us; it's about you. We want you to feel empowered. It's like what is useful in this world is not on us. It's not on the tooling. It's on the human. It's on you. It's on the user. And that's the message that we are sending. And by calling the company Magnific, we are stressing that the one that is magnific is the user.
It's actually, I have been discussing this with other people, like in Harry Potter, no, like you have a wand that you can do magic, and we are not in the business of doing magic. We are in the business of selling wands so other people can actually do magic. And I think that analogy actually works incredibly well with Magnific.
That's actually, dude, that's an amazing analogy. But speaking of that, you're selling wands, but you're positioning yourself as a platform for professional creators who are already good. But are the wands for just the professional creators, or do you feel like this is a product for everybody that everybody can use, the general average user?
I think it opens the spectrum. I think that right now, this second, like only professionals are in the business of creating films, but this is expanding to everybody. It is expanding to other domains. It's expanding to marketing. It's expanding to individuals. It's expanding to people that want to have a presence in social media. I think this is going to democratize who do we call a professional. I think a professional is going to be anyone that can tell a message, that have something to say. Okay? So it is for professionals who want a professional outcome. I believe that if somebody needs like a very simple image, they will find it. They will find other ways to get that image. But if you want to do something more sophisticated, if you have a more elaborated need, this is where Magnific is going to be there for you.
I will expand on this. It's about the high quality. So when we actually say creative professional, like we really want to strive for that high quality. We want to, so the people really do the best work that they can do. And for that, generally, you require a little bit more control. And that's what Magnific is about. Like we really want to give simple tooling, accessible tooling, that you don't require like very complex skills in order to be doing something great. But at the same time, at least we are giving you total control on the creative side, because generally the creatives, they require a level of control that is not a one click, right? Like they always require this little thing, this change camera, this lightning, this specific thing that they have in their mind. So I think we make accessible tooling, but we give the power of control because the barrier to entry is actually lowering.
You know, we aim, like the end goal here, the optimal goal for us is for a user that uses the platform to feel proud of what they did. You know, get that feeling in the user.
I think that myself, I am not incredibly good at that at times. Only if I put a little bit of effort, it actually feels mine. Like if you put low effort, it doesn't feel you. Like when you do like a cloud skill or something, it's yours, right? Like you have actually managed to do your own cloud skill or any other thing. I think that actually helps a little bit feeling.
I mean, Magnific is definitely for the creators. Like it does come through in everything that you do. Speaking of creators, this chat is so live. It's moving so fast. I can't even keep up with it. It's amazing. I see Gauss Producciones, who's coming from Venezuela. Wanted to shout him out. Yo soy de Venezuela. I wish I could shout out everybody in the crowd. Jack Stevens coming in from North Carolina, USA, where I'm here now. So like I said, I'm loving this. But speaking of creators, before you went live with the announcement, you actually had you brought through like 100 of your closest creative partners, and you broke the news to them first. And it was an awesome video because the reactions were hilarious. So I think we have that to play right now for everybody to watch.
So happy to see you all. Wow. You all are here because you never stop pushing yourselves.
I love that video. I love that video. I'm sure like internally too, when you broke the news to everybody else with like in the office in the company, I'm sure you probably had some similar reactions as well.
Well, this is the war room. This was the war room actually. With you can see actually the computers in there with all the screens. It was incredibly stressful, but it was a lot of fun because when everything actually went fairly smooth, I don't know, we had a lot of fun, but it was very stressful, I can tell you.
But it went surprisingly well.
Yeah,
I was expecting, those things, usually everything goes wrong. This time, it's one of those that the team was so well prepared that everything went well. Like, there were some issues, but there was a plan B for everything. The team really delivered a phenomenal job on this one.
Well, I live on Twitter. Like, I'm on Twitter all day long, so I track sentiment. And it seemed like the reaction to the change was overwhelmingly positive. So which was awesome to see. But look, we've talked a lot about the name change, the rebrand, the big news, but I think we should talk about what the product actually does. So here's a question maybe that you can. By the way, everybody knows what it does, but Omar, walk us through what Magnific actually is today. Right? There's a big new name change. Is it the same platform? I mean, tell us, when somebody lands on the platform now, since it's not Freepik anymore, what are they seeing? What are they looking at?
Yep. So we aim to be like the creative platform for really people that wants to do great things, right? And their best work, their best creative work. And for that, we have a set of tooling that generally can range from image, video, audio, 3D. And all that we have done, like, I believe, a great job at building a product that is also collaborative. So we have a product that is called Spaces, where actually teams collaborate together in order to literally create TV ads, social media posts. Actually, we are getting the first movies. So it's being used like, or upscalers in movies, storyboarding in movies. So it ranges from marketing teams to high-end studios to agencies with all their creative needs. So that means that literally a marketing team can actually do all the resizing of the ads and the creative ads that they are doing, but they can also create the social media posts, or eventually, what we believe is the future, people are going to be able to do literally whatever they have in mind in terms of storytelling. So that means that the future looks fairly bright for marketing teams to actually expand. You have a vision that is actually very interesting.
Yeah, I mean, my vision is that the marketing teams of yesterday, they were constrained to do crappy jobs. It is what it is. They were so constrained that they could only work on short ads, 1 minute, 2 minutes. They could only talk about the brand. There was no warm up, no context, because it was so expensive to do a video that they could only afford to do what we call an ad, which is 1-2 minutes, nothing more ambitious than that. But now they can actually make films, full films. They can show products in a completely different way. So I think this medium, like film, or call them short film, like 10 minutes, 15 minutes, maybe 1 hour and 50, you don't need that much, because that's not the story that you are telling. But my view is that we are going to see how marketing departments and film studios start to overlap more than in the past. We will see an expansion on the number of projects that get green lighted, because it used to be only things that you are fairly confident are going to deliver many millions, because the cost is so high that otherwise it doesn't make sense to produce it. But now we are going to see like the full spectrum. Things that are worth like 10K, there will be something that is affordable. Individuals will explore way more the stories that we can tell. So my view is that we are going to see big parts of the creative economy start tackling on more ambitious projects than before.
As we mentioned, I mean, so Magnific is built for people who hold themselves to really, really high standards. How does how does a product actually live up to that?
Yep. So we have a principle which is simple but opinionated. So that means that we strive to be accessible at first. So it needs to be simple at first. That's a given. But in order to be simple, generally you need to be a little bit opinionated. But then what we provide later is control. So that means that we are always trying in our platform to make things simple, but then have a level of control that maybe other platforms are not providing. So that's, to me, like the key angle of product. Like, we are trying to make like accessible all the tooling around image, video, audio generation for professional work. But it's simple, but it provides you with the flexibility. So that means that you generate a video, but then you will be able to edit it at the second. You will be able to relight it. Okay. Or if you generate an image, you will be able to literally change the camera a little bit. You will be able to do anything around that image with total control over even literally the pixel. So that is what we really want to do. And I think we are managing step by step. We combine all the models. We combine all the AI models. There's today, we have the best models in the world, audio, video, and image. And we make sure that combined together with editing tools that we care and putting a layer of collaboration, we believe we actually have like a fairly good orchestration layer that ranges from image generation, video generation, to actually we have a stock that you can actually use for references, which is actually incredibly interesting. And then we have an API for those who create workflows in our platform, and those workflows can be integrated in the future with other platforms on their own.
You mentioned something there interesting, actually, and I have a question about that. First, let's shout out some people. I want to shout out Stephanie from España, from Madrid, kind of close to you guys. Chat is moving so quick, I can't even see all these names. But Omar, you just mentioned stock. You guys have, I mean, this is your, your bread and butter up until now. You have 250 million stock assets on the platform. Are those disappearing? Like, how does that work within the new vision of Magnific, within all these, generative AI tools? What is the idea for that stock library? How are you guys looking at that moving forward?
That's actually a very good question. So we said that we are a creative platform, and why we say we are a creative platform, because we have stock, API, and creative suite. So this looks like three separated products, but what we have actually done is to combine them all together. So that means while you are generating an image or a video for your TV ad, what you can do is to actually search for similar images on stock, like this. So that means that you don't need to spend credits on generating. The same for video. If you have a specific movement that you want to do on video, with prompting, good luck. Okay, in general, like if let's say like we want to do a video of a child moving in one direction, playing soccer, and then being very sad, with prompting is actually fairly hard. With image refs, you could actually manage to do something like that, but we have been using stock to literally guide AI to do what you want. So that means that you could actually search for stock videos, stock images, or even audio references to tweak the level of control that you want to do in your social media, in your TV ad, in your TV series, or literally in the banner of the newsletter that you want to do for the next product launch.
And of course, sometimes stock is useful by itself. You don't need to combine it with AI. Okay, that's absolutely okay. So you need icons for a presentation. You need photos, great high quality photos from the real world. Because sometimes you don't want to dream something. You want to use something that represents something that exists in the world. Illustrations that are top-notch quality. Everything that the creative needs for any of their creative needs is available on the platform under the same roof, under the same subscription. So this is not going away. This is added value that is there for anyone who joins.
100% added value. Like, I actually think it's one of your superpowers. When I'm using Freepik, I'm always referencing the stock library and bringing in stock assets. So it's super useful. So I'm glad to hear that. Now, and I keep saying Freepik. When I'm using Magnific, I gotta get used to that, guys. Now the question is, Magnific does so much. As you said, it any creative need that you need, Magnific is there for you. But what would you say, out of everything that you've built, out of how I don't want to say complex, but how big and grand the product is, what would you say is your flagship product?
Today is Spaces. So in Spaces is where teams collaborate to actually ship together very good creative work. And that's where literally you are collaborating like in a whiteboard. We are all working together. You are working there on storyboarding. Here I'm working on the scenes. Here I'm working on some character generation. Here I'm working on literally just brainstorming and mood boarding. And then all that comes together where you can create your own workflows within that. So it's not only a place where you do workflows. It's a place where you collaborate or even organize yourself. It could be a one player. Okay, so I actually use it at myself as a one player tool.
Yeah, we aim for Spaces to be the orchestration layer, like a visual representation of the orchestration of multiple tools. So you can do the orchestration manually, one by one, in an ad hoc way. That works. That's perfectly okay. When you do it in Spaces, it gets recorded, it gets stored, becomes repeatable. It becomes something that you can share. It becomes an artifact on its own that that helps collaborate. Okay, so that's kind of the higher level abstraction that we have today about how to use AI tools.
Yeah, shout out to Melanie Rodriguez in the chat who says Spaces, she's a graphic designer. She says Spaces is her favorite tool, bar none. And it's funny, Omar, what you say, because I use Spaces very much so single player mode as well, right? But obviously it's built for multiplayer. Tell me what collaboration looks like on Magnific.
So today is that you start sending some comments to your colleagues about the things that you are doing. Okay, so you can comment on assets directly. So you start mentioning your colleagues, hey, what do you think about this as the first frame for the product launch? Or what do you think about this scene that you just did for the storyboarding of the next TV series? Today is built around asset comments that are localized within the space. You could actually do comments at the second in a video. So you could actually mention a friend and say, in a specific second, and you say, hey, at Joaquin, what do you think about this? And then he will receive a notification where literally will give a link to the video in the second 3. So I think it's targeted comments and feedback. That's literally one of the good things about the feedback loop with your colleagues. And then in general, just somebody goes in holidays and then another person jumps in into literally the same place that it was in. And the last most important thing, in my opinion, is that you can reproduce things that you did in the past. You actually have all the references. So whenever you generate a nice video, you know exactly how it was done. You can audit it. That means that the next person can actually literally replicate it without being magic. Remember, like, we are not about magic. So that means that you could recreate that asset again. Not only you, but actually a second person, which is also fairly important.
You know, I remember when you were building Spaces, Omar. I remember you specifically. I don't think you were sleeping for like a few months. That was seeing that product go from like inception to deployment was incredibly quick, and it's so powerful today. So I'm super excited about that. Everybody in the chat, I see all the questions. Keep them coming. In just a few minutes, we're going to answer your questions. So if you wherever you're calling in from, whether it be YouTube, X, just go ahead and ask a question, and the team here will whatever question you have for Joaquin and Omar, I'll ask them to them. Speaking of product, Omar, Joaquin, I don't want you guys to reveal all of your secrets, but is there anything on the roadmap that you're just like you can't sleep because you're so excited about?
Yes.
Yeah, there is. Yeah.
Yes.
What are you allowed to say? Can we get any sneak peeks or any information maybe?
Okay, listen. We have all seen like how powerful AI can be at simplifying things. Okay, and we see how if you remove the technical barrier, you remove the things that make work frustrating, you get a tool that becomes addictive. If you're an engineer, you've seen probably Cloud Code. You see how addictive it is to be able to describe a problem, something that you want to get solved. And it's like magic. In a couple of minutes, you get a solution. We think that the same thing it is happening to some extent, but it's not yet there to the creative world. Right now, we have a tool that is addictive to use to make films, to make images. Let's say that we want to make it so smooth that you don't want to stop using it. Like, you just want to see your creativity flow. You want to get your ideas on videos, on images in a way that is so smooth that you just want to come for more. You want to do more stuff. You want to create more. I think it's very human. We like to create, and it's just when it becomes frustrating that it becomes like a job, because of the hurdle. Now the only hurdle is going to be around having a good story to tell. And the new tools that we are developing, they really excite me. Like when I use them, I become addicted to tell stories. Even myself, I'm not a filmmaker. I'm not a photographer. I become addicted to make films.
I think that's
beautiful. Well, now let's get to the exciting part of the chat, because there's so many people in this chat, super global audience. A lot of people have questions. So to reiterate, if you have a question for Joaquin and or Omar, drop it in the chat. We're going to be picking our favorite questions to ask them, and don't be shy. You know, these could be tough questions too, right? They don't just have to be simple questions. We do have one question that just came in that I'm interested on as well. Are there any plans to clean up the UX? So this person asked, 2 UX pathways would be good, a simple and an advanced. They say that there's too much overwhelm currently for users who aren't used to using things.
That's actually on me. So I believe that the simple advanced mode is a pattern that in a way it helps you to do the advanced things much more advanced with much more flexibility. I think we have to improve even the first experience for a simple user. So I think if we start to do simple and advanced mode, most likely I'm doing a bad job. So I think my goal will be that the first experience should be simple enough. And some of the UX that we have in the product, we just know that is not good enough. But it's a matter of iteration. So we actually have tried hard for Magnific.com to be a little bit more seamless, but we still have a long way to do. So actually that person should send me an email or DM at onpemi on Twitter, and I will be happy to just have a chat tomorrow about that.
You want to shout out your Twitter so everybody can go, you know,
Yeah.
you're going to be answering probably 1,000 questions over the next hour.
I love that. I generally talk with 3 customers a week. So Omar Pera Mira, so OMPEMI. So that's my Twitter handle.
All right, everybody, you know what to do if you have any questions. The other one an interesting question that I actually had myself that I see from the audience is, are you going to keep the original Magnific upscaling platform, or will it eventually just be combined with Magnific, the new Magnific?
It will eventually get combined with the platform. You can already use the Magnific upscaler on what used to be Freepik, the free platform, which is now the new Magnific. So eventually, people who are using the Magnific upscaler will have access to the full Magnific experience, will be strictly a superset of the old Magnific upscaler.
Okay, no, that clears it up, and I think that makes a lot of sense. And I do use the Magnific upscaler within the new Magnific. So I mean, I remember using it before you all acquired it, and then I just started using it, the integrated version, into Magnific. So that clears things up. You know, there's a lot of questions about, people really want a training session, like a live scheduled training session. Is that something, maybe I'm seeing this all over the place? Like there's been dozens of requests for this. Is that something that could be a possibility?
Absolutely. Like we have been publishing videos on what it is still today, Freepik Academy. We are changing the name to Magnific Academy. You have that on YouTube. We do webinars for our enterprise customers. I think we should do the same for anyone who wants to listen. So there's something a little bit more open, where we choose a theme and we explain how to do things, where we can take questions about it. Yeah, so I think we should do that. And we already do some webinars from time to time and live sessions like this one. Yeah. But I think we should strive for one that is more product deep dive for literally creatives to actually get started in the platform.
Okay, great. Because yeah, I'm seeing this all over the place. Like Matu Vinel, he asked, are you planning to create a series of tutorials to explain the various features on your platform? Everybody's begging for tutorials, but you're saying they're already live on Magnific Academy. Where can people find that? You will find them in the home. Exactly. You go to Magnific, at the bottom, there's a link to the Academy. And if you search on YouTube, you will find it. Maybe you still have to search for Freepik Academy. Those things, we are changing them right now. But go to freepik.com and you're going to find there a link to the Academy. Magnific.com. Excuse me, Magnific. See, I'm not the only one making the mistake. It's going to take a few weeks. It's going to take me way longer than you to fix this. Hopefully only a few days. Hopefully it won't be a Twitter situation where everybody's still calling it Twitter, you know, a year and a half, 2 years after the name change.
And it will happen for the next 10. Okay, so
Mahmoud Ibrahim asks, as an interior designer, how can I benefit from your platform, and why do most AI platforms neglect fields like interior design?
Actually,
that's a great question. I mean, your wife?
No, it's because my wife is all into interior design, and she's well, she's a forced fan of Magnific, okay, but she's been using Magnific actually for 3D renders. Now, like, we have a 3D tool where you can actually put like a scene, so you can actually render like a room and then navigate through a wall, which is incredibly good. And then you can put your sofas. You can put like literally like the sofa from IKEA. You generate a 3D model, and then you can actually put it and place it within the wall. That's actually very successful today in the platform. It's called 3D scenes. And actually simple things such as you do very good 3D renders. That has been the most useful thing. So you download the app of Magnific, and then you do a photo of literally like any home that you are actually doing some interior design. And then you start adding up image references where you put the sofa here. This is the actual sofa that you want. So that's how my wife has been successful with the platform, doing interior design, doing renders for other architects. And it's actually changing a little bit the way that you could do interior designs, because it changes a little bit the work, because, and I think this will happen with every role, where you become a curator. Like you become a little bit more of you have so many possibilities that instead of literally spending 3 days just doing one idea, you can generate 25 ideas and then start curating the right idea. So I think the work of even an interior design or even an artist is going to be changing towards a little bit of more of like you're choosing, you are prioritizing, you are like a director, you are directing. Okay, so I think that has been actually very useful for my wife.
Yeah, and actually, maybe we are not marketing yet for this particular segment, and we should fix that. But interior design, architecture, those things are extremely popular use cases of the platform. And some of the features that we launch, even if we are not marketing them for this particular category, they come from feedback that we got from this segment of users. Extremely popular. Probably we can do better in terms of explaining this particular segment how to use the platform, but there are many features that come inspired by their needs.
You know, speaking of interior design, so I just moved into this new studio. It's like 2,200 square feet. I have the slightest idea about interior design. So I was actually using then Freepik, now Magnific. So I gave it all the dimensions. I took photos from all different angles of the space. And then I also uploaded, I think I was using Nano Banana Pro at this time, and I also uploaded all the images of the items that I own with all the dimensions. And I asked it, you know, I went through and it gave me like 1,000 different variations of how I might set this place up. And then I went and asked for like additional ideas with modern furniture, trendy. So I took those 1,000 pictures, and then all of a sudden I'm taking like the best ideas from, you know, from the 1,000 or so that were generated. And it's like, that was a game changer for me, man, because I would have no idea how to do this, you know, prior. So, Mahmoud, yeah, I'm glad you asked that question.
But you have taste, right? Like, that's the thing. Like, you may not have the initial seed, but you have the taste to actually be generating a lot of ideas and then choose the right one. So I think that's still also a creative skill, because you have the taste to actually choose.
That's debatable, but I appreciate it. Yeah. Well, here's actually a fun question. Maybe both of you can answer this one. What is a tool, a creative tool that you admire, even if maybe it competes with you?
More than a creative tool, I admire the work of some teams. One that we find, okay, I'm gonna choose two. Okay, I'm gonna. People always say, don't talk about competitors. I'm gonna break that rule here. Okay. One of them is Midjourney. Okay, I admire them because, number one, they show the world that it was Gen AI was a legitimate tool to do something that looked amazing. Like the tool has very good taste in the images that it generates. Okay, and that's been true for many years. They were there before everybody. They are bootstrapped like us. They didn't got any VC money. My opinion, they feel like a different niche than us. Like, it's a tool that is very good for exploration. When you have a clear idea of what you want, in my opinion, we are much better as a tool to execute on a clear idea. They have like their own opinion, and They listen to you a little bit, to give you ideas, but it's like a tool that has its own mind. So I think that one is pretty good. The other one I'm gonna choose here, Flora. Flora was the first tool. Flora and ComfUI, maybe. Those tools were really innovating in terms of the node UI, using nodes to represent graphically the connection between different generations. And I think we should applaud those that make breakthroughs in terms of UI. Now, I've been using them. I really prefer our tool today, I'm going to be honest. But I think they should be celebrated because they made like very clear innovations in the space. So this is super controversial, those things, always to talk about competitors, but I will highlight.
We love controversy.
Yeah.
I actually was going to be choosing two. The first one is ComfUI. I think we actually met the CEO in San Francisco a few months ago, and they are in our Slack. Like we talk to them and we pay them for, like we have a team that actually does ComfUI. They just were so forward looking. Like, I don't know. They literally, I think they coined the term creative engineer. Like, is somebody who is technical enough to do actually creative workflows. And I think in a way, like we literally follow their path. And I think I think we need to own that too. Like we follow that. Like
yeah. I mean, with a different take, like in our view, I think we are not fighting for the same user.
No,
like our view was that the concept, it was really useful, but it had to be more accessible to people that are more on the creative edge rather than on the engineer side. I mean, the thing is that the space where we are, it's still so young that you're going to find some companies that look like we are competing to each other. But I think each one of us, we are finding our own niche. Again, and at the beginning, what we do, it's relatively thin, so it looks like everybody's doing the same thing. I think that's false. I think each one of us has a different angle, and we will grow into our user segment.
And the second one was Figma, because I respect quite a lot the CEO, and I think like they just created a category pretty much on their own, just with this idea, simple ideas like let's do design multiplayer. And I think simple ideas executed fairly well over the years. I think they also design.
I'm gonna be like even more controversial than before. Now that you mentioned Figma, I'm a big fan of their ex-CTO, Evan Wallace. Super. I was following him way before he started Figma. But I said I was going to be controversial. Like for quite a while now, I agree that Figma needs a stronger change in direction. I think, by the way, I think the same thing it's true for Canva. At the beginning, when we got Gen AI, I remember my first reaction was to think that Figma and Canva, that they're not going to be threatened by Gen AI because this is a new way to get kind of stock assets, and this technology was going to be very challenging for us, but not so much for them. Like still, Canva is going to be like the same tool, and now they will be able to just create images instead of finding stock images. But it's not going to change them. But then I changed my mind. Like a little bit later, I started to think, no, wait a second. Actually, I think that Gen AI is going to change. It's going to take ownership of more than just making the image. It's going to make the whole layout. It's going to be like the whole thing. Okay. So I think they need like their own response to this. They need to rethink more deeply their tools. And I respect, you don't understand how much I respect those companies. Okay. I have a very, very deep respect for them. Still think that they need to show that Gen AI changes way more deeply how people work than what they have done until now.
Fascinating. Well, appreciate the honest and thoughtful responses. Everybody's asking for that sweater, by the way, Joaquin. Everybody wants one of those hoodies. So maybe you guys should sell them, or I don't know, drop the link. This was fun, everybody. I mean, that is the story. You've heard it here from there. There it is. That sweater. Everybody was going crazy about it in the chat. I love it. That's the story about Magnific, why it exists, where it is today, and where it might be tomorrow. I want to thank you both for joining us. That was super, super helpful. If you guys have any other questions, by the way, Omar's Twitter is open. Also, the Magnific team is incredible. If you engage with them on Twitter or any of their socials, at Magnific on just about every social, they will respond back. The community seems phenomenal. So I just wanted to thank everybody for joining. Thank you, Joaquin. Thank you, Omar. Thank you for having me as well. And that was a lot of fun.
Thank you, Roberto.
Thank you.
All righty.